I got divorced and moved overseas. My ex-husband married his new girl right away. My daughter said she would be the maid of honor. Then she looked at me and added, "He is a good, successful man. Not like you, Mom." During the wedding, a guest said one line that made him lose it. And then he called me. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit like button and subscribe if you believe that taking someone for granted can result to regression. I am Rebecca, 68 years old, and I spent 38 years teaching children how to read and write in Seattle. I understand patience better than anyone. I know that if you rush the process, if you skip the foundations of learning, the entire structure collapses. I just never expected my own family to crumble the same way. 5 months ago, I was the dependable wife. Today, I am the villain who escaped to New Zealand. But before I tell you how I ended up watching sheep graze on rolling green hills while my old life imploded, I need you to understand one thing. I gave them every opportunity to see the truth. They just chose to believe the lies. The breeze coming off the Pacific Ocean in Auckland is different from the wind in Seattle. It is cleaner, lighter. I was sitting on my porch, watching clouds drift over the harbor, holding a cup of tea. For the first time in decades, my mind was quiet. The anxiety was gone. Then my phone rang on the wooden table. I looked at the screen. The name flashing there was Daniel, my ex-husband. I had not spoken to him since I handed over my wedding ring and walked out the door. But something made me answer. I swiped and held the phone to my ear, saying nothing. "Rebecca, save us." His voice was panicked, breaking. "Rebecca, are you there? You have to help us. Marcus is being arrested. They are taking everything. He is not who we thought he was. Emma is hysterical. She fainted. Rebecca, please tell them you still own the house. Tell them they cannot evict us." I took a slow sip of my tea. The taste was honey and chamomile. I looked out at the water, watching a sailboat glide across the bay. "Daniel," I said, my voice calm and measured. "Do you remember what I told you 5 months ago about trust? I told you that you cannot build a life on deception. Rebecca, this is not the time for your teacher lectures. We are losing everything." I ended the call. I placed the phone face down on the table. To understand why I did that, why I left the father of my child begging into the void, you have to go back to the night my world actually shattered. It was a Thursday in Seattle, October, the kind of rain that does not stop, just keeps coming down like tears from the sky. I had just finished grading papers for my 5th grade class. I loved those kids. They reminded me that people could still be honest, still be kind. I drove home in my old Honda Civic. It was a practical car. I liked things that worked without drama. When I walked into the kitchen, the smell of reheated pizza filled the air, but the table was empty except for a white envelope sitting in the center. Daniel was standing by the sink looking out at the dark backyard. He was 65, but he had the energy of a man 20 years younger. He played tennis 3 times a week and never missed his morning jog. He turned around, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. It was not sadness. It was relief. "We need to talk, Rebecca," he said. I put my bag on the counter. "Is everything okay? Is it Emma?" "She is fine. She is perfect. This is about us. Or rather, it is about me finally being honest." He slid the envelope toward me. "I want a divorce." I stood there still wearing my raincoat. The words felt unreal. We had been married for 38 years. We had raised a daughter. We had weathered every storm. "Why?" I asked. Just one word. "Because I have been unhappy for years, Rebecca." He walked over to the table and tapped his fingers on the envelope. "Look at us. You are 68 years old, and you act like life is over. You wear the same clothes you bought a decade ago. You drive that embarrassing car. You count every dollar like we are broke. I am tired of living like we are poor when we have savings." I felt my heart squeeze tight. "We are not poor, Daniel. We are careful. That is how we paid off the house. That is how we put Emma through college without loans." "Careful is just another word for boring," he shot back. "I met someone. Someone who makes me feel alive again. Her name is Vanessa." I froze. Vanessa. I knew the name. Vanessa Monroe. She was a real estate agent in the city. Young, flashy, always posting photos of expensive dinners and designer handbags on social media. Vanessa Monroe, I repeated. The woman who is half your age and sells overpriced condos. Vanessa just closed a deal on a penthouse downtown, he said, his eyes lighting up with something ugly. A penthouse, Rebecca. When was the last time you wanted anything that did not come from a thrift store? She is 35. She has energy. She has ambition. She makes me feel young. You just make me feel old. I pulled out a chair and sat down. My legs felt weak. So this is it. 38 years thrown away for a younger woman and a midlife crisis.
It is not a crisis, he snapped.
It is a renaissance. Sign the papers, Rebecca. I am not asking. I am taking the house. The house. I looked around the kitchen. I had painted those cabinets myself. I had chosen every tile. I had planted the garden outside. You want the house? I asked quietly. Daniel, this house needs constant care. The roof leaks in the back corner. The plumbing is old. You cannot just ignore these things. Vanessa will handle it, he said dismissively. Vanessa has contractors for everything. She says this place is outdated anyway. She wants to renovate. She says it looks like a museum for old people. The front door opened. I looked up, hoping to see my daughter, hoping for support. Emma walked in, shaking rain off her jacket. She was 32 years old, but she still had the softness of someone who had never really struggled. I had paid for her college. I had helped her through 3 failed business ideas. Emma, I said, your father has lost his mind. He wants a divorce. He is seeing Vanessa Monroe. Emma did not look surprised. She did not look upset. She walked over to her father and stood next to him, crossing her arms.
I know, Mom.
I met Vanessa last month. You met her? I asked, feeling the ground shift under me.
Yeah.
She is actually really cool. She is fun. She understands how to live. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My own daughter. Emma, this woman is destroying our family. Mom, stop being dramatic, Emma said, rolling her eyes. Nobody is happy here. You are always telling me to save money and be practical. It is exhausting. Vanessa gets it. She understands success. Success? I asked. Yeah, success. She told me about her business coaching program. You said it was a pyramid scheme. You told me to get a real job. Because it is a pyramid scheme, Emma, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Well, Vanessa believes in me, Emma interrupted. She is going to mentor me. She promised to invest $50,000 in my wellness brand once the wedding is official. She is going to be my business partner. I looked from my husband to my daughter. It was not about love anymore. It was about money. Daniel was trading our marriage for youth and excitement. Emma was trading her loyalty for a business investment. She is buying you, Emma, I said. You realize that, right? She is manipulating your approval. She is supporting my dreams, Mom, which is more than you ever did. You have money. I know you do. You just hoard it. You are selfish. Selfish. I thought about the double shifts I worked when Emma was little, so we could afford her piano lessons. I thought about the retirement fund I had been quietly building for 25 years, growing slowly so my grandchildren would have security. I thought about the investment account I had opened the moment I sensed Daniel pulling away, just in case. They thought I was a simple retired teacher with a pension and a paid-off house. They had no idea about the inheritance from my mother I had invested wisely. They had no idea about the stock portfolio that had tripled in value. Fine, I said. I reached for the pen in my pocket. It was a simple pen, black ink, reliable. I will sign. Daniel let out a breath he had been holding.
Good.
Make it easy, and we will not fight you on your personal things. You can take your car and your books. We want the house and half of the bank account. I opened the envelope. I scanned the legal words. It was aggressive. She wanted the property fully transferred to her name within 60 days. I signed my name, Rebecca and Caldwell. The signature was steady. There is one thing, I said, capping the pen. The house. It is legally held in a family trust. I am the trustee. I will sign the resignation of trustee rights over to you, Daniel. That gives you full control, but you need to understand the maintenance requirements. Just sign it, Rebecca. Stop stalling, he said, grabbing the papers away. I do not need your lectures on how to own a home. Emma patted me on the shoulder, but it felt cold. No hard feelings, Mom. You will be happier in a smaller place anyway.
Less to worry about, right?
I stood up. I buttoned my coat.
You are right, Emma.
Less to worry about. I walked to the door. I did not look back at the kitchen I had designed. I did not look back at the husband I had trusted or the daughter I had protected. I walked out into the rain. The water soaked through my coat, but I did not feel cold. I felt the heat of a bridge burning behind me. I got into my car and started the engine. As I pulled away, I looked at the house one last time. I saw Vanessa Monroe pull up in a bright red convertible. I saw her walk into my house wearing high heels and a tight dress. I saw my husband and daughter greet her with smiles and hugs. They were celebrating. They thought they had won. They did not know that the house they just fought for was built on secrets. And they definitely did not know that by signing those papers, I had just activated a plan I had been preparing for months. I drove toward the airport. I had a flight to catch. I had a new life waiting. But I knew the phone call would come eventually. I just did not think it would be this soon. Back on the porch in Auckland, the sun was setting over the water. The air was cooling. I poured myself another cup of tea.
My phone screen was dark now.
I wondered if they had discovered the truth about the trust yet. Probably not. They never paid attention to details. But they were about to learn that in life, just like in teaching, if you skip the fundamentals, everything falls apart. 3 days later, I was watering the plants in my small garden when a shiny black Mercedes pulled up to my old house. I was not there, but I had installed security cameras before I left. I could watch everything from my laptop in New Zealand. The car door opened and Vanessa Monroe stepped out. She was wearing a white pantsuit and enormous sunglasses. She looked like she was trying to be a celebrity. She walked up the driveway like she owned the world. Daniel came out to greet her. He was wearing new clothes, expensive brands I had never seen him wear before. He looked like he was trying to impress someone. "Nice place, babe," Vanessa said loudly, looking at the house. "But we're going to need to make some changes. This whole exterior is so 1990s. We need modern. We need glass. We need statement pieces." Daniel laughed nervously. "Whatever you want, Vanessa. You are the expert." They walked inside together. I watched on my laptop as they moved through the rooms. Vanessa pointed at everything I had chosen, everything I had loved, and dismissed it. That couch, ugly. That wallpaper, hideous. That chandelier, tacky. Emma arrived an hour later. She was carrying shopping bags from expensive stores. She had clearly been spending money she did not have yet. "Mom is finally gone," Emma said, dropping her bags on my dining table. "Now we can actually make this place beautiful." Vanessa smiled. "Absolutely. First thing, we are ripping out that garden in the back. It is taking up space we could use for a pool and an outdoor kitchen." I felt anger rise in my chest. That garden was my sanctuary. I had planted roses, lavender, tomatoes. I had spent 15 years nurturing that soil. But I took a deep breath. Let them destroy it. Let them learn. The next few weeks were a blur of renovations. I watched from across the world as they tore apart everything I had built. They ripped out the garden. They knocked down walls. They installed expensive light fixtures and marble countertops. Vanessa hired contractors who charged triple the normal rate because she did not know any better. Daniel paid every bill without question, draining the joint bank account we had agreed to split. But there was a problem. A problem they did not see coming. You see, the house was old. It was built in 1985. I had maintained it carefully over the decades, fixing small issues before they became big ones. But Vanessa did not care about maintenance. She cared about appearances. When her contractors knocked down the wall between the kitchen and the living room, they did not realize it was a load-bearing wall. I had told Daniel about this years ago. I had shown him the blueprints. But he did not listen then, and he definitely did not remember now. 2 weeks after they removed the wall, cracks started appearing in the ceiling. Small ones at first, like spider webs. Then bigger ones like rivers cutting through plaster. Daniel called a structural engineer. The engineer took one look and shook his head. You removed a load-bearing wall without proper support, the engineer said. This entire second floor is now unstable. You need to install steel beams immediately, or the ceiling will collapse. How much will that cost? Daniel asked, his face pale. At least $80,000, the engineer replied. Maybe more. I watched Daniel stumble backward. I watched Vanessa's face go from confident to confused to angry. $80,000, she repeated. You said this house was paid off. You said we had savings. We do, Daniel stammered.
We did.
But we have been spending a lot on renovations. How much do we have left? Vanessa demanded. Daniel pulled out his phone. He checked the bank account. His face went white. We have $12,000. $12,000, Vanessa screamed. Where did it all go? You said you were wealthy. You said you had investments. I thought I did, Daniel said weakly. Rebecca must have moved the money. She tricked me. But I had not tricked anyone. I had simply taken what was mine. When I signed the divorce papers, I made sure the settlement was clear. Daniel got the house and half of our joint checking account. I got my retirement fund, my investment accounts, and my mother's inheritance. He thought the joint account had $200,000. It did not. It had $24,000. I had moved the rest into my personal accounts months before he asked for the divorce, when I first sensed something was wrong. It was not illegal. It was not even unethical. It was just smart. Back in Auckland, I smiled as I watched them panic. This was just the beginning. The structural repairs were only the first crack in their foundation. Over the next month, more problems appeared. The new plumbing Vanessa installed started leaking, flooding the basement. The expensive marble countertops she bought were too heavy for the old cabinets, and they collapsed in the middle of the night, shattering into pieces. Every contractor Vanessa hired either overcharged her or did shoddy work because she did not know how to vet people. She just chose whoever had the fanciest website. Daniel tried to keep up with the costs, but he was drowning. He took out a credit card. Then another. Then another. Within 2 months, he was $40,000 in debt. Emma was not doing any better. The wellness brand Vanessa promised to invest in never materialized. Vanessa kept saying the timing was not right, that she needed to focus on the house first. Emma waited and waited, spending money on inventory and marketing, convinced the investment was coming. It never did. She maxed out her credit cards buying products nobody wanted. Then came the wedding. Daniel and Vanessa planned it for a Saturday in December. They wanted it to be extravagant. They rented a venue at a fancy hotel downtown. They hired a live band. They ordered a cake that cost $3,000. They invited 200 people. Emma was the maid of honor. She wore a dress that cost more than my monthly rent in Auckland. She stood next to Vanessa, smiling for the cameras, pretending everything was perfect. But I knew the truth. I knew they were broke. I knew the credit cards were maxed. I knew the house was falling apart. And I knew something they did not know. Vanessa Monroe was not who she said she was. You see, I am a teacher. I know how to research. I know how to dig. And when Daniel first mentioned her name, I started digging. What I found was fascinating. Vanessa Monroe was not a successful real estate agent. She was a con artist. Her real name was Vanessa Miller. She had changed it after being sued in 3 different states for fraud. She had a pattern. She targeted older, wealthy men. She convinced them to invest in fake businesses. She drained their bank accounts. Then she disappeared. But this time, she made a mistake. She stayed too long. She got greedy. I had sent all my research to a private investigator. I had him compile a full report. And then I sent that report to someone who would appreciate it. Marcus Chun. Marcus Chun was Vanessa's ex-business partner. She had stolen $200,000 from him 5 years ago and vanished. He had been looking for her ever since. When he received my report, along with her current address and wedding details, he was very grateful. The wedding reception was in full swing when Marcus walked in. He was not alone. He brought 2 police officers and a lawyer. I watched it all on the security feed from the hotel. The cameras were public, accessible to anyone who knew where to look. Marcus walked straight up to the head table where Vanessa and Daniel were sitting. He did not smile. He did not shout. He just placed a folder on the table in front of Vanessa. "Hello, Vanessa," he said. "Or should I call you Vanessa Miller?" Vanessa's face went white. She looked at the folder, then at Marcus, then at Daniel. "I do not know what you are talking about," she stammered. "You stole $200,000 from me," Marcus said loudly, so everyone could hear. "You forged documents. You created a fake company, and then you disappeared. But you made a mistake. You stayed in the same state. You kept using the same tactics." Daniel stood up. "What is he talking about? Vanessa? Who is this man?" "This man," one of the police officers said, stepping forward, "is the victim of fraud, and this woman is under arrest." The officer pulled out handcuffs. "Vanessa Monroe, also known as Vanessa Miller, you are under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and grand larceny." The room went silent. 200 guests stopped eating, stopped talking, stopped breathing. They all stared as the officer cuffed Vanessa's hands behind her back. Her white wedding dress looked like a costume now, a disguise that had finally been ripped away. Daniel was frozen, his mouth open and closed like a fish out of water. "This is a mistake," he finally said. "She is my wife. We just got married." "You married a criminal," Marcus said. "And if you gave her access to your bank accounts, you are a victim too. You should check your finances immediately." Daniel pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking. He logged into his banking app. I watched his face crumble as he saw the balance. 0. Every account was empty. Vanessa had drained them that morning, transferring everything to an offshore account she had set up weeks ago. "She took everything," Daniel whispered. "She took everything." Emma was standing next to the table, her face pale. She looked like she might faint. "Mom tried to warn us," she said quietly. "Mom tried to tell us, but nobody heard her." The police led Vanessa away. She was screaming, claiming she was innocent, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But the evidence was overwhelming. The forged documents, the fake business licenses, the trail of victims across 3 states. The wedding guests scattered like roaches when the lights turn on. Nobody wanted to be associated with a scam. Nobody wanted their names attached to this disaster. Within 10 minutes, the ballroom was empty except for Daniel, Emma, and the hotel staff who were already calculating the unpaid bill. Daniel sat down heavily in a chair. He put his head in his hands. Emma sat next to him, crying silently. The hotel manager approached. "Sir, the bill for tonight is $47,000. We require payment before you leave." Daniel looked up. "I do not have $47,000. I do not have anything." The manager's face hardened. "Then I am afraid we will need to contact our legal team. This is theft of services. Please wait here." I closed my laptop. I had seen enough. They had made their choices. They had ignored every warning. They had chosen flash over substance. Now they were sitting in an empty ballroom, surrounded by the wreckage of their greed. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my financial advisor. "The property sale has been finalized. The house sold for $650,000. After paying off the liens and legal fees, your share is $400,000. Wired to your account. You see, when I signed over the house, I made sure the trust had a clause. If the property was damaged or if the new owner defaulted on any financial obligations tied to it, the trust could reclaim and sell the asset." Daniel had taken out loans against the house to pay for Vanessa's renovations. When those loans went unpaid, the trust activated. The house was seized and sold at auction. Daniel got nothing. I got everything. I transferred half of that money into a scholarship fund for underprivileged students in New Zealand. Kids who wanted to learn but did not have resources.
Kids like the ones I used to teach.
The other half I kept for myself. I bought a small cottage by the beach. I started volunteering at the local school. I made friends who valued kindness over money. And every morning, I woke up to the sound of waves and the smell of salt air. I was free. 3 months after the wedding, my phone rang again. It was Emma. I had not blocked her number.
I was not angry at her anymore. I was just sad for her.
"Mom," she said quietly,
Can we talk?
I am listening, I replied.
I am so sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I was so stupid.
I believed Vanessa. I believed Dad. I thought you were just being negative. I thought you did not want us to be happy. I did want you to be happy, Emma. I just wanted you to be smart.
I know that now, she said.
I lost everything, Mom. I have no money. I have no business. I am living on a friend's couch. I cannot even afford my phone bill. What do you want from me, Emma? I asked gently. I do not want money, she said quickly. I know I do not deserve it. I just wanted to say, I am sorry. I wanted to tell you that you were right. About everything. I was quiet for a moment, listening to her breathe. Thank you for saying that, Emma. I appreciate it. Do you think you will ever come back to Seattle? She asked hopefully. No, I said.
My life is here now.
But you are welcome to visit if you want. If you are serious about changing. I would like that, she whispered. I would really like that. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me about her plans to go back to school, to get a real job. She sounded different, humbler, more honest. Maybe she had finally learned. As for Daniel, I never heard from him again after that first desperate phone call. I heard through mutual friends that he declared bankruptcy. He lost the house, his savings, his credit. He moved into a small apartment and got a job as a security guard. He was 70 years old, starting over from nothing. Some people said I should feel sorry for him. But I did not. He made his choices. Vanessa was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Marcus got some of his money back through asset seizure, but not all of it. Justice is not always complete, but it is something. I sit on my porch now, watching the sun set over the Pacific. My tea is warm in my hands. My heart is light. I am 68 years old, and I have never been happier. I do not miss the big house. I do not miss the man who betrayed me. I do not even miss the daughter I raised, though I hope one day she becomes someone I can be proud of again. What I have now is peace. I have a garden full of vegetables. I have friends who laugh with me. I have students who look at me with respect. I have a life built on truth, not lies. People ask me if I feel bad about what happened to Daniel and Emma. They ask if I feel guilty for not saving them. But here's the thing. I tried to save them. I warned them. I begged them to see the truth. They chose not to listen. You cannot save people who do not want to be saved. You cannot fix a foundation that someone else keeps breaking. All you can do is step back. Let the building fall. And when the dust settles, you start building something new. Something stronger. Something that belongs only to you. I am Rebecca Caldwell. I am a teacher. I am a survivor. And I am finally, truly free. If you are listening to this and you feel trapped in a life where people do not value you, remember this. It is never too late to walk away. It is never too late to start over. The months after the wedding were strangely quiet for me. I had expected more drama, more phone calls, more desperate messages. But there was only silence. Daniel did not call again. Emma sent a few texts, but they were short and empty. I think she was ashamed. I spent my days exploring Auckland. I joined a book club at the local library. I started taking painting classes. I had always wanted to paint, but I never had time. Now I had nothing but time. My teacher was a woman named Margaret. She was 72, with wild gray hair and paint permanently stained under her fingernails. She taught me that mistakes on the canvas are not failures. They are opportunities. You can paint over them, she said. You can turn a dark spot into a shadow, a drip into a stream. Everything can be transformed. I thought about that a lot. One afternoon, I received an email from my lawyer in Seattle. It was a formal notice. The court had finalized the bankruptcy proceedings for Daniel Caldwell. All assets have been liquidated, the email said. No funds remain for distribution to creditors. Case closed. I stared at the words.
Case closed.
That was it. 38 years of marriage, reduced to a legal sentence.
Case closed.
I should have felt something. Anger, sadness, satisfaction. But I felt nothing. It was like reading about a stranger. That night, I went for a walk along the beach. The sand was cool under my feet. The sky was full of stars, More stars than I ever saw in Seattle. I thought about the girl I used to be. The one who married Daniel at 25. The one who believed love was enough. I thought about the woman I became. The one who worked 2 jobs to pay for Emma's braces. The one who budgeted every dollar so we could take 1 vacation a year. The one who believed sacrifice was the same as love. But sacrifice without appreciation is just loss. And I had lost enough. I pulled out my phone. I opened the banking app. I looked at my balance. $473,000. It was more money than I had ever had at one time. But it was not about the money. It was about what the money represented. Freedom, security, proof that I had value. I could do anything I wanted now. I could travel. I could buy a bigger house. I could invest. But what I wanted most was simple. I wanted to help. The next week, I walked into Auckland Primary School. It was a small school in a low-income neighborhood. The paint was peeling. The playground equipment was old and rusty. I asked to speak to the principal. Her name was Mrs. Harding. She was a tired woman with kind eyes.
"How can I help you?" she asked.
"I want to donate," I said. "I want to set up a fund for students who cannot afford school supplies. Books, pencils, uniforms, whatever they need." Mrs. Harding stared at me. "How much are you thinking?" $50,000 to start, I said. "More if needed." She sat down slowly, her mouth open. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. I am a retired teacher. I know what it is like to see a child struggle because they do not have a notebook. I do not want any child here to feel that way." Mrs. Harding started to cry. She reached across the desk and took my hand. "You have no idea what this means. Thank you. Thank you so much." I left the school feeling lighter than I had in years. This was what money should do. It should build. It should help. It should create opportunities. Not destroy families. Not by lies. That evening, my phone rang. It was Emma. I almost did not answer, but something told me to pick up. "Hi, Mom," she said. Her voice was small. "Hi, Emma. I got a job," she said. "It is not glamorous. I am working at a coffee shop. But it is honest work." "I am proud of you," I said. And I meant it. "I have been thinking a lot," she continued.
"About everything I said to you.
About how I treated you. Mom, I was so cruel. I was blinded by what I thought I wanted. I did not see what I already had. We all make mistakes, Emma. The question is what we do after."
"I want to do better," she said.
"I want to be better. I am going to therapy. I am learning about boundaries and manipulation. I am learning how Vanessa used me. How Dad enabled it. That is good, Emma. That is really good. Do you think," she hesitated, "do you think one day you could forgive me?" "I already have," I said. "But forgiveness does not mean things go back to how they were. It means we move forward differently." "I understand," she said quietly.
"Can I visit you? Someday?"
"When I have saved enough money." "I would like that," I said. "I really would." We talked for an hour. It was the most honest conversation we had ever had. She told me about her mistakes, her regrets. I told her about my new life, my peace. When we hung up, I felt something shift. Maybe there was hope for us after all. Not as mother and daughter trapped in old roles, but as 2 women learning to respect each other.
The seasons changed.
Summer turned to fall. Fall turned to winter. In New Zealand, winter is mild. It rains more, but it is never bitter cold like Seattle. I started working at the school 3 days a week, tutoring students who were behind in reading. I loved it. These kids reminded me why I became a teacher. They were hungry to learn. They just needed someone to believe in them. One day, a little boy named Jacob stayed after class. He was 8 years old, shy, with big brown eyes. He handed me a drawing. It was a picture of me standing in front of a blackboard, surrounded by stars.
"You are my favorite teacher," he said.
"You make me feel smart." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Thank you, Jacob. That means more to me than you know." This was my wealth. Not money in a bank account. Not a big house or a fancy car. This. A child who felt valued. A child who believed in himself because someone believed in him first. I heard through a mutual friend that Daniel had a heart attack. He survived, but it was serious. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Nobody called to tell me. I found out through Facebook. I thought about sending a message. I thought about asking if he was okay. But then I stopped. He had a new life. I had a new life. We were not connected anymore. I hoped he was okay, but it was not my job to save him. It never was. Vanessa was still in prison. I looked her up once, curious. Her mugshot was online. She looked different. Older. Harder. The confidence was gone. She looked like what she was. A criminal. I wondered if she regretted her choices. I wondered if she thought about the lives she destroyed. Probably not. People like Vanessa do not feel regret. They just feel anger at getting caught. Emma visited me 6 months later. She saved for months to buy the plane ticket. When I saw her at the airport, I almost did not recognize her. She had cut her hair short. She wore simple clothes. She looked healthy. We hugged. It was awkward at first, but then it felt real. "I am so glad you came," I said. "Me too, Mom." I showed her my life. My cottage. My garden. My friends. We walked on the beach. We cooked dinner together. We talked about everything. Her therapy. Her job. Her plans for the future. "I am thinking about going back to school," she said. "Maybe to be a counselor. I want to help people who have been manipulated like I was." "That is a wonderful goal," I said. "You would be good at that." We sat on the porch, watching the sunset. "Mom," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "Okay." "Dad is not doing well. Financially, emotionally. He is alone. He keeps saying he made the biggest mistake of his life." I sipped my tea. "That is sad. But it is not my problem, Emma." "I know," she said quickly. "I am not asking you to help him. I just thought you should know." "I appreciate you telling me," I said. "But my life is here now. I do not have room for his regrets." She nodded. "I understand." We spent the rest of the week together. It was healing. It was not perfect, but it was a start. When she left, she hugged me tight. "Thank you for giving me another chance," she said. "Thank you for being brave enough to ask for one," I replied. I am 70 now. 2 years have passed since I left Seattle. 2 years since I walked away from a life that was killing me slowly. I do not regret a single decision. My cottage is filled with light. My garden is blooming. My students are thriving. I have friends who care about me. I have peace. Real peace. The kind that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when it was hard. Daniel sent me a letter last month. It was forwarded by my lawyer. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. I opened it. "Rebecca," it said, "I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything we built. I was a fool. I was selfish. I believed lies because I wanted to believe them. Vanessa took everything from me. But the truth is, I gave it to her. I handed over my family, my integrity, my future. And for what? A few months of feeling young. It was not worth it. I am alone now. Emma barely speaks to me. I have no money, no home, no respect. I wake up every day wishing I could go back and change everything. I do not expect you to respond. I just wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. You were the best thing in my life, and I threw you away. I am sorry. Daniel." I read the letter twice. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. I did not respond. There was nothing to say. Sorry does not rebuild trust. Sorry does not undo betrayal. Sorry is just a word people use when they finally face consequences. I went outside and watered my tomatoes. They were growing strong, heavy with fruit. I had planted them from seeds. It took months of care, but now they were thriving. That is the difference between me and Daniel. I plant seeds and nurture them. He rips out roots and expects the tree to survive. I am Rebecca Caldwell. I am 70 years old. I am a teacher, a gardener, a friend. I am a woman who learned that you cannot love someone into being a good person. You cannot sacrifice yourself into being valued. All you can do is protect your peace and build a life that honors who you are. If you are in a relationship where you are unappreciated, undervalued, or betrayed, Please hear me. You deserve better. You deserve peace. And sometimes, the only way to find it is to walk away.
Do not wait for them to change.
Do not wait for an apology. Do not wait for permission. Just go. Build your own life. Plant your own garden. Find your own peace. But before I end this story, I need to tell you about the day everything truly came full circle. It was a year after Emma visited me. I was at the school, helping a young girl named Sophie with her reading. She was struggling with comprehension, getting frustrated with herself. I know how that feels, I told her. Sometimes words do not make sense right away. But if you keep trying, if you keep showing up, suddenly one day it all clicks. Sophie looked at me with doubt in her eyes. When will that happen for me? I do not know, I said honestly. But I promise it will. You just have to trust the process. That afternoon, I received an email that made my heart skip. It was from the Auckland Education Board. They wanted to honor me with a community service award for my work at the school and my scholarship fund. The ceremony was in 2 weeks. I almost declined. I do not like attention. I do not need awards. But Mrs. Harding called me personally. Rebecca, please accept this, she said. These children need to see that kindness is valued. They need to see that good people are celebrated. You are teaching them more than reading. You are teaching them hope. So I agreed. The night of the ceremony, I wore a simple blue dress. Nothing fancy. I did my hair myself. I looked in the mirror and saw a woman I was proud of. Not because of my achievements, but because of my character. The ceremony was held at a beautiful hall overlooking the harbor. The room was filled with teachers, principals, community leaders. I felt nervous. Then I saw Emma. She was standing in the back of the room, holding flowers. She had flown all the way from Seattle without telling me. Mom, she said, walking up to me with tears in her eyes. I could not miss this. You deserve this. We hugged, and this time there was no awkwardness. Just love. Just genuine connection between a mother and daughter who had found their way back to each other. When they called my name, the room erupted in applause. I walked to the stage, my hands shaking slightly. The presenter read a speech about my contributions. She talked about the scholarship fund that had helped over 60 students. She talked about my volunteer hours. She talked about the lives I had changed. Then she handed me a crystal plaque. I stood at the microphone, looking out at all those faces. I want to thank everyone here, I began. But I also want to be honest with you. 2 years ago, I was broken. I had just gone through a divorce. My family had turned against me. I had lost everything I thought mattered. I paused, feeling emotion rise in my throat. But losing everything taught me what actually matters. It is not houses or cars or bank accounts. It is not being married or being successful by the world's standards. What matters is integrity. What matters is kindness. What matters is showing up for people who cannot repay you. I looked at Emma in the crowd. She was crying openly. I came to New Zealand with nothing but a suitcase and a broken heart. But I found something here I never had before. I found myself. I found purpose. I found peace. The room was silent, everyone listening. If you are going through a hard time right now, if you feel like everything is falling apart, please hear me. This might be the best thing that ever happens to you. Because sometimes we have to lose everything to find out who we really are. Sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of a better one. The applause was thunderous. People stood. I saw teachers wiping tears. I saw Mrs. Harding beaming with pride. After the ceremony, dozens of people came up to me. They shared their own stories of loss and rebuilding. They thanked me for being vulnerable. They said my words gave them courage. Emma and I went to dinner at a small restaurant by the water. We talked about everything and nothing. She told me she had been accepted into a counseling program. She was going to specialize in helping people recover from financial abuse and manipulation. I am so proud of you, I said. You took your pain and turned it into purpose. I learned from the best, she said, squeezing my hand. That night, lying in bed, I thought about Daniel. I wondered if he had heard about the award. I wondered if he felt any regret. Then I realized it did not matter. His opinion of me was no longer relevant. I had built a life he could never touch. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a walk on the beach. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I thought about the journey that brought me here. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the anger, the eventual acceptance. Every painful step had led me to this moment, to this peace, to this joy. I would not change a thing. A few months later, I received news that Daniel had suffered another heart attack. This one was fatal. He died alone in his small apartment. The landlord found him 3 days later. Emma called me, sobbing. "Mom, he is gone. Dad is gone." I am so sorry, Emma. I truly am. I did not go to the funeral. Emma understood. She went and handled everything. She told me later that only 5 people attended. 5 people for a man who once had hundreds of friends. But those friends were never real, she said. They were just people who benefited from him. When he had nothing left to give, they disappeared. That is the saddest part. After the funeral, Emma sent me a box. It contained some of Daniel's belongings she thought I might want. I opened it carefully. Inside were photographs. Pictures of us when we were young. Pictures of Emma as a baby. Pictures of family vacations and birthday parties. I looked at these images of a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. I saw a younger version of myself, smiling but already tired. Already giving more than she received. I saw Daniel, handsome and confident, never realizing what he had. I did not cry. I just felt a deep sadness for time wasted. At the bottom of the box was an envelope with my name on it. Inside was a letter Daniel had written, but never sent. It was dated 2 weeks before he died. "Rebecca," it began. "I am dying. The doctors say I have maybe a month left. My heart is failing, but it failed a long time ago when I betrayed you. I have spent the last 2 years in hell. Not because I am poor or alone, but because I finally understand what I lost. You were my foundation. You were my home. And I demolished you for a fantasy. I thought Vanessa would make me feel alive. But all she did was show me how dead I already was inside. I thought money and excitement would fill the emptiness. But the emptiness was not because of you. It was because of me. I was broken, Rebecca. I was selfish and stupid and cruel. And you paid the price. Emma told me about your award. She showed me pictures of your new life. You look happy. Truly happy. I am glad. You deserve it. I know this letter does not matter. I know sorry is not enough. But I needed to say it anyway. You were a good wife. A good mother. A good person. And I destroyed our family because I could not see that good was enough. Good was everything. I hope you find love again. Real love. The kind that sees your value. I hope you live a long, beautiful life surrounded by people who appreciate you. And I hope, somewhere deep down, you can forgive me. Not for my sake, but for yours. Because holding on to hate only hurts the person carrying it. Goodbye, Rebecca. Thank you for 38 years of patience I did not deserve. Daniel. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it back in the envelope. I walked outside to my garden. I had built a small fire pit there, a place to sit on cool evenings. I lit a fire and watched the flames grow. Then I placed the letter in the fire. I watched it burn, the paper curling and blackening, the words disappearing into smoke. I was not doing this out of anger. I was doing it out of completion. This chapter was over. I did not need to carry his guilt. I did not need to hold on to his apology. I had already forgiven him, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved peace. The flames consumed the last of the paper. I sat there, watching the fire, feeling lighter with each passing moment. Emma called me that evening. "Mom, did you get the box?" "I did," I said. "Thank you for sending it. Did you see the letter?" "I did. And I want you to know something, Emma. Your father was not a monster. He was just a broken person who made terrible choices. We all have that capacity. The difference is whether we learn from our mistakes or repeat them." "He learned too late," she said sadly. "Yes, I agree. But you learned in time. And that is what matters." We talked about grief, about forgiveness, about moving forward. Emma was healing. I could hear it in her voice. She had started dating someone new, a kind man who worked as a teacher. He is nothing like Dad, she said. He is steady. He is honest. He makes me feel safe. That is what love should be, I told her. Not fireworks and drama. Just steady, honest, safe. I am learning that, she said. The years continued to pass. I turned 72, then 73. My scholarship fund grew. We helped over 200 students. Some of them came back to visit, to tell me they had graduated, gotten jobs, started families. You changed my life, they would say. And I would always reply, no, you changed your own life. I just believed in you. I never remarried. I never even dated. People would ask me if I was lonely. I would smile and say, no, I am alone. There is a difference. Loneliness is feeling empty when you are by yourself. Being alone is feeling complete without needing someone else to fill you. I was complete. I had friends. I had purpose. I had joy. What more could I need? One day, I was working in my garden when a young woman approached my gate. She looked nervous. Excuse me, she said. Are you Rebecca Caldwell? I am, I replied, standing up and wiping dirt from my hands. I am Jessica, she said. I was one of your scholarship students 5 years ago. I remember you, I said, smiling. You wanted to be a nurse. I am a nurse now, she said, her face lighting up. I work at the Children's Hospital. And I just wanted to thank you. Because of your scholarship, I did not have to drop out of school. I got to finish. I got to follow my dream. Tears filled my eyes. That is wonderful, Jessica. I am so proud of you. She handed me a card. This is for you. I opened it. Inside was a photo of Jessica in her nursing scrubs, standing with a group of sick children. They were all smiling. On the back, she had written, because you believed in me, I get to help heal others. Thank you for planting seeds of hope. I hugged her. This young woman I barely knew but had helped change the trajectory of her life. This is why I came to New Zealand. This is why I walked away from everything familiar. Not for revenge. Not for money. For this. For the chance to make a real difference. Jessica left, and I sat in my garden, holding that card, feeling a fullness in my heart I had never experienced in my marriage. Emma visited me again that Christmas. She brought her boyfriend, Michael. He was exactly as she described. Kind, steady, genuine. He helped me cook dinner. He fixed a loose board on my porch without being asked. He treated Emma with respect and tenderness. This is the one, Emma whispered to me when Michael was outside. I can feel it. Then hold on to him, I said. And never take him for granted. We spent Christmas Day on the beach, the three of us. We ate fish and chips. We watched the waves. We talked about dreams and plans. Emma and Michael were talking about getting married, maybe having children. I want to be a better parent than I had, Emma said. Then she caught herself. I did not mean it like that, Mom. I know what you meant, I said gently. And you will be, because you have learned from the past. That is all any of us can do. On New Year's Eve, I stood on my porch watching fireworks explode over the harbor. I thought about the woman I was 3 years ago. Broken, betrayed, lost. And I thought about the woman I had become. Strong, peaceful, whole. I had lost a husband who did not value me. I had lost a daughter who had to find her own way back. I had lost a house, a city, a life. But I had gained so much more. I had gained myself. I raised my glass of sparkling water to the sky. Here is to new beginnings, I whispered. Here is to second chances. Here is to the courage to walk away and the strength to build again. The fireworks continued, brilliant bursts of color against the dark sky. Each explosion was temporary, beautiful, then gone. Just like the pain. Just like the past. I am Rebecca Caldwell. I am 73 years old. I am a teacher, a gardener, a woman who learned that the end of one story is just the beginning of another. I learned that you cannot save people who do not want to be saved. I learned that walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do. I learned that peace is worth more than any mansion. That integrity is worth more than any relationship built on lies. If you're listening to this story and you feel trapped, please know that freedom is possible. It might be scary. It might be painful. You might lose people you love. But on the other side of that fear is a life you cannot even imagine yet. A life where you wake up without dread. A life where you smile without forcing it. A life where you are enough, just as you are. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the perfect moment.
Do not wait for them to change.
Just go. Pack your bag. Buy the ticket.
Take the first step.
And trust that each step after that will lead you somewhere better. I did it at 68 years old. If I can do it, so can you. Age is not a barrier. Fear is. And fear is just a feeling. It cannot actually stop you unless you let it. The seasons turned again. Spring arrived with jacaranda trees blooming purple and my garden flourishing. I planted new vegetables, new flowers, new possibilities. Every seed felt like a promise to keep growing, keep reaching toward the sun. I received a letter from Lily, a former student now working as a social worker. Miss Caldwell, she wrote, "You made me believe I was smart when everyone else made me feel stupid. Because of you, I went to college. I got my degree. And now I help kids just like I used to be. Thank you for being that person for me." I cried reading that letter. Not sad tears, but grateful tears. This was legacy. Not money or houses, but hearts changed. Lives redirected. Hope planted. Emma called with big news. "Mom, I am engaged. Michael proposed. We are getting married next summer. I want you to walk me down the aisle." My heart swelled. "I would be honored, Emma." She paused. "Mom, do you think you will ever fully forgive me?" "Emma, I forgave you long ago. But the question is not whether I forgive you. The question is whether you have forgiven yourself." "I do not know if I have," she admitted. "Then that is your work to do," I said gently.
"You have changed.
You have grown. Let the past be the past." She was crying.
"Thank you, Mom."
"Thank you for giving me grace I did not deserve." I flew to Seattle for the wedding. It was held in a small garden with 40 people. I walked Emma down the aisle. When I placed her hand in Michael's, I whispered, "Take care of her." He looked me in the eyes.
"I will," he said.
"I promise." The ceremony was simple and heartfelt. No ice sculptures. No expensive disasters. Just two people committing to build a life on trust and respect. During the reception, Emma gave me a silver bracelet with an inscription. "To the woman who taught me strength. Thank you for showing me how to rise." I stayed in Seattle for a week, then returned to Auckland at sunrise. When I walked through my cottage door, I felt it immediately. Home. Not because of the building, but because of who I had become inside it. Emma sent photos from her honeymoon in Italy. She looked free, whole. Months later, she announced she was pregnant with a girl. "We want to name her Rebecca, after you," she said. "You showed me what strength looks like. I want my daughter to have your name and your spirit." I flew to meet baby Rebecca. When Emma placed that tiny baby in my arms, I felt a circle complete. "I am going to tell her about her strong grandmother who walked away and built a beautiful life," Emma said.
"Teach her to be kind," I said.
"But also teach her to be strong. Teach her that love without respect is not love. Teach her to never settle." "I will," Emma promised. I returned to New Zealand with a full heart. I am 76 now. I still volunteer at the school. I still tend my garden. I still watch the sunset every evening. I still choose peace over chaos, truth over comfort, myself over people who do not value me. And I have never been happier. If someone told me 10 years ago that my life would fall apart, I would have been terrified. But now I understand that sometimes things fall apart, so better things can fall together. I am grateful for the divorce. I am grateful for the betrayal. I am grateful for the pain. Because all of it led me here. To this cottage. To this ocean. To this version of myself that I actually like. I am Rebecca Caldwell. I am 76 years old. I am a teacher, a grandmother, a survivor, and a woman who finally understands her worth. And I am here to tell you that it is never too late. Never too late to leave. Never too late to start over. Never too late to find yourself. Your age does not matter. Your circumstances do not matter. What matters is your decision. Will you stay in a life that is killing your spirit? Or will you have the courage to walk towards something better? I chose to walk, and I have never looked back. Thank you for listening to my story. May it give you courage. May it give you hope. May it remind you that you are stronger than you think. Goodbye, where the waves are singing and my soul is finally free. You do not owe anyone your suffering. You do not owe anyone your future. You only owe yourself the chance to be happy.